Shut the whole town up.
We rode the.
Oh God, that's the smoke. You know, that's what I told you. It don't take power to think of this one.
We rode the Durango to Silverton in Colorado, and it
Runs on coal.
It runs on coal, and it's a stinking, it's black smoke. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Once again, I'd like to welcome you all aboard this morning. Up ahead on the left, you'll see a spur track with some old railroad equipment on it. These include a snowplow, an oil tanker car, a gravel dump car, and a small grain switching engine. This, along with the rest of our trains and our 2 steam locomotives, all came from the West Side Lumber Company of Tuolumne, California, about 50 miles to the north of us. They ran a steam-powered logging operation right up until the early 1960s. Logging in this part of the woods began in 1874 with the California Lumber Company. In 1899, the Madera Sugar Pine was incorporated, and its brief history became one of the largest and most successful lumber companies in the state of California. The tracks we run on today are ones that we laid on one of their oldest spur lines, dating from 1908 to 1924. Up ahead at the left at the power pole, you can look across the canyon and see Mount Rainier, 8,500 feet in elevation. It's the distant mountain with the large exposed rock faces on it. To give you an idea of the size of the lumber company's operations, say your tracks ran halfway up the backside of that mountain. They logged all the way up to the tree line on both sides, loaded the logs onto railroad cars like the ones you're riding on today, then hauled them to the mill in Sugar Pine, which is the company town located at the bottom of the canyon and about 2 miles downriver from where our tracks end. Here in the Sierra National Forest, we have 5 primary types of trees. The first is the California black oak. It wasn't used much for lumber, but was gathered extensively as firewood for the lumber company's 6 wood-burning steam locomotives, their steam donkey engines, and even to power the mill itself. For 1,000 years beforehand, however, the Native Americans in the region, collectively known as the Miwok, used to gather the acorns. They'd grind them up and then soak them in water to remove the tannic acid. The resulting mixture was used as a flour and used to make cakes and cereals as a staple in their diet. On our trip this morning, you're going to see some trees that look like miniature sequoias. This is the incense cedar tree. This aromatic tree is the one with the rough, reddish-looking bark and the flat needles. Some of these trees appear to have been burnt. This is a black powder mold growing on the sides of the tree due to a lack of sunlight getting through to burn it off. It doesn't appear to affect the health of the tree or the quality of the wood. It's similar to the red fir found growing at higher elevation. It's a small gray tree with the evenly spaced horizontal branches. You may recognize it better as a Christmas tree. We're now entering into Horseshoe Curve. This curve was dug out in 1908 by Chinese laborers using picks and shovels. They loaded the dirt on the wheelbarrows and horse-drawn wagons and relocated it to the center of the curve where they dumped it, and it remains piled to this day. The last two of the 5 primary types of trees are both pine trees. These are the ponderosa and the sugar pine. They're preferred by the lumber companies for their immense size and excellent quality of wood. The ponderosa is the one with the large, scale-like bark and needles that grow in groups of 3. The sugar pine is one with the needles that grow in groups of 5, with the excessively large pine cone. Sugar pine cones are the largest in the world, measuring in at 18 to 24 inches long and weighing up to 4 pounds when wet. At this point, you may have noticed number 10 doesn't look like your typical side rod driven locomotive like you see in the Western movies. She's what's known as a Shay locomotive. They were invented in 1880 by a Michigan lumberman named Ephraim Shay. He wanted a locomotive that was flexible and powerful, so he devised one that works on 3 swivel truck assemblies, powered by a line shaft directly powering each axle. The result is a 12-wheel drive locomotive that can take a 70-degree turn and climb a 12% grade of 20 carloads of logs. To offset the weight of the line shaft on the one side of the locomotive, the boiler was moved a bit towards the other, giving the Shay an off-center appearance from the front. The Madera Sugar Pine had 5 such locomotives. The only difference between ours and theirs being theirs burned wood, ours burned oil. Number 10 weighs in at a measly 84.5 tons. The largest Shay ever built to the narrow gauge. In a typical trip, she'll go through 40 gallons of oil and 400 gallons of water. Gauge is the distance between the 2 rails. Narrow gauge is most commonly 36 inches, but is anything less than the standard gauge of 56.5. Lumber companies like the narrow gauge because you can make tighter turns. You didn't have to cut as wide a hole through the forest to get to where you were headed. Also, narrow gauge equipment is cheaper, and Shay locomotives are built primarily on the narrow gauge.
Well, boggers like the narrow gauge. Most of the ones you see in the mountains are narrow gauge. Big freight trains are regular gauge or what do they call it? Standard gauge. Standard gauge.
Well, the Madera Sugar Pine had more than 140 miles of road bed graded. They rarely used more than 30 miles of track at any one time. They loaded out the mill of Sugar Pine like spokes on a wagon wheel, and then out to their work areas and gathered all the trees available in the process known as clear cutting. They didn't do any reseeding of the forest, so everything you see has been regrown from the few trees left by the lumber company when they went through 80 years ago. When they ran out of trees to cut down in an area, they simply pick up their tracks and buildings and go in another direction. They repeat this process as often as necessary. The tracks we're riding on today are one of the oldest spurs used by the Madera Sugar Pine, dating back as far as 1908.
Where?
The road below on the right, one of the last spurs used by the Madera Sugar Pine, from 1927 right up until the end in 1931. It is now a Forest Service seasonal public access road. The state which will sell federal railroad lines in the woods, but the Forest Service realized it constitutes far too much money to pump roads in where the railroad went.
Yeah, it is. My uncle lived in Lake Charles.
Oh, okay. That's along the coast.
We were up in Yosemite and the falls are every year at the end of school, and this year is the driest. That's
Hundreds of years. Are called manzanilla. That's a rough English version of the Spanish word for little apple. So there's this small red berry that these plants develop in the fall.
manzanita.
He wants you to take these berries and make a cider drink out of them. They're now primarily food for the